One day the family decided to move into a cozy house, unaware of his gloomy past. At first everything seemed perfect, a new place of residence, new opportunities. But soon after they settled down, strange and frightening things began to happen. The first signs of unexplained events appeared at night. The family heard heavy footsteps that sounded from the depths of the house. Then the doors began to close by themselves, slamming shut with such force that it seemed impossible. But the most scary thing was that there were ominous whispers coming from the walls that they could not understand. Night after night, the family felt an invisible force enveloping the house, filling it with malice and darkness. Soon the phenomena became more intense and creepy. The fog penetrated into the rooms, enveloping everything around it like a ghostly shroud. Vague figures appeared and disappeared in the darkness, leaving only a sense of threat. The family, gradually overcome by fear, began to seek help. They turned to psychics and spiritual healers, hoping to find answers and ways to get rid of this nightmare. But all their efforts were in vain. The presence of evil in the house was too strong. It was getting stronger every day. Time passed, and the nightmare in the house only intensified. The family began to study the history of the house and its previous owners. They discovered that the house was the site of terrible crimes involving black magic and rituals. The previous inhabitants were consumed by evil, and their souls remained trapped in this cursed place. However, the family did not give up. They turned to a well-known paranormal researcher who had experience in dealing with such cases. The researcher arrived at the house with a full set of special equipment and his team of experts. Nighttime research has become part of the family's routine. They recorded audio and video clips, recorded instrument readings and watched every movement in the house. Their goal was to uncover the nature of evil, understand its origin and find a way to break the curse. The family did not know what to expect in the process of research. Every night turned into a battle between light and darkness. The devices registered strange energy emissions, and photographs taken inside the house reflected ghostly silhouettes and gloomy images. Researchers conducted sessions of contact with the souls of the dead, trying to establish a connection and find out what keeps them prisoners in this dark-cursed place. The family stood nearby, feeling the cold breeze and the living presence of invisible entities. With each investigation, it became clear that the curse of the house was the result of strong witchcraft committed in the past. Evil had been summoned and imprisoned within these walls, and now it fed on the fear and suffering of its victims. It was obvious that breaking this curse would not be easy. The family and researchers were not discouraged and continued their work. They performed purification rituals, invoked the light forces and used their faith in the good forces of the universe. They restored the energy balance in the house and created protective barriers to prevent the penetration of evil. Every day the curse weakened. The evil phenomena became less intense, and the family began to feel relieved. They no longer heard ominous footsteps at night, the doors stopped closing by themselves, and the fog gradually disappeared. The family finally felt that the house was being restored after years of being cursed. They rejoiced every new day, realizing that the darkness was receding and the place was becoming more and more secure. However, after such a long and terrible stay in the shackles of evil, one of the family members began to show clear signs of mental disorder. He had hallucinations, nightmares haunted him not only at night, but also while awake. He claimed that he sees and hears invisible creatures that continue to haunt him even after cleaning the house. The family was desperate and didn't know what to do. They turned to psychologists and psychiatrists for help, hoping to find a solution for their beloved family member. Despite all the efforts of doctors, his condition only worsened. He became increasingly withdrawn, shunned society and spent his days in constant fear and anxiety. The family gave him all possible support, but every day their hopes for recovery disappeared. A few months later, he was hospitalized in a psychiatric clinic, where he was provided with specialized care and supervision. However, despite all the efforts of doctors, his mental state continued to deteriorate. He suffered from deep depression and paranoia, and sinister voices and visions did not leave him for a minute. As a result, His body turned out to be too exhausted, unable to withstand constant mental stress. He died from an overdose of medications that he was prescribed to alleviate his symptoms. It was a heavy blow for the whole family. They were losing a loved one and realized that his departure was connected with their cursed house. The family was enveloped in deep sadness and sorrow. They felt the loss of a loved one and felt guilty for not being able to help him get rid of the dark shadows that haunted him. The death of this family member was a heavy reminder of the terrible power of evil that once possessed their home. Despite their pain and grief, the family did not give up. They decided to continue the fight against darkness in memory of their departed loved one. They resumed the research and attracted additional help from experts. They did not want his death to be in vain, and sought to achieve the complete liberation of their home from evil. With extra effort and perseverance, they found additional clues and information about the curse. They have unearthed even deeper secrets and become more aware of the nature of this evil. Their research led them to an ancient spell book that contained information about a ritual that could break the curse. The family decided to stop at nothing, and they conducted a powerful ritual of cleansing and banishing evil from their home. They combined their strength, their faith and all their hopes, and summoned the good forces to fight the darkness. The night of the ritual has come. The family gathered together, holding each other's hands and saying protective prayers. They called for light, goodness and peace to drive away all evil and curse from their home forever. Suddenly, there was a loud explosion. The family understood that darkness would always exist in the world, but they learned that with the help of faith, strength of spirit and unity, any obstacles can be overcome. Their story has become a reminder of the strength of the human soul and the importance of the struggle for light and goodness. Their cursed house became a symbol of their strength and determination. They decided to stay in it to continue their mission of help and research. They turned it into a refuge for those who needed help, and a place where the history of evil can be studied and used for good. The family never forgot their departed loved one, and every year they held a memorial ceremony to honor him and all those victims who fell in the path of evil. Their struggle against the curse became their legacy, and they hoped that their story would inspire others to never give up before the darkness and find light in the darkest time. The family overcame their crazy nightmares and proved their strength and determination. They were able to cope with the curse, although it cost them hard and cost the life of one of them. But their story also became a reminder of how important it is to seek help, support each other and not be left alone in front of dark forces. The family went on with their lives, but they never forgot their experience. They have become active supporters of paranormal research and helping those who find themselves entangled in the networks of the dark world. They used their experience and knowledge to help others cope with similar problems and provide support during the struggle. The family found light in the darkest place and became an example of strength and endurance. Their story served as a warning to others and an inspiration to those who found themselves in a similar situation. They have done everything possible so that their curse does not become a shackle that keeps them in fear and darkness, but becomes a source of strength and determination to fight for the light. Life goes on, and the family of the departed member remembers him with love and respect. They continue to live in their liberated home, feeling grateful for their new life and the obligation to help others in the fight against evil. Their story remains alive in their hearts and in the hearts of those who heard their story.